tell from the change in tone he was checking his texts. Actually, Mum had been crying a lot since taking part in the assessment. She was full of guilt and had been going over and over how obvious my autistic traits were, like not wanting to be held or cuddled as a baby, or having special interests such as teaching myself Danish when I was 8, or having violent meltdowns over the sensation of my own clothes on my skin. She felt bad the signs hadn't just been missed but were viewed as me being deliberately difficult. Growing up, I'd been told repeatedly that I was very, very clever, but also very, very bad. And yet neither of my parents understood why I now enjoyed doing a job that involved people alternately cheering or booing at me. I'm still waiting for you to say one normal thing about this, Dad. There's still time. I could hear the cogs turning in his brain on the other end of the phone while watching the sat-nav. There was a pause. "What did you have for dinner tonight?" he offered. I leaned my forehead on a kitchen cupboard, opening and closing a drawer I'd smashed repeatedly over the years and had never been right since. Pad Thai. Never heard of it. When I'd first got depressed at 15, Dad had found me crying hysterically one night and had shouted to Mum in a panic, "She'll be put in bloody Carstairs!" Carstairs was a high-security mental hospital in Scotland for serial killers, where they put away people who'd done stuff like skin people alive. Instead, I was given a half-arsed diagnosis of OCD and depression by my family GP after I'd asked him, "I have obsessive routines and feel bad if I can't do them. Is it OCD?" The GP's notes to the consultant psychiatrist in the referral read, "Says she's always been strange." When I signed myself out of a teen psych unit shortly after my 16th birthday, I read the DSM manual cover to cover and became an expert in psychiatry. The DSM is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. I didn't think I had OCD, as I didn't think I was going to die if I couldn't wash my hands 15 times. Come to think of it, it was hard to remember to even wash myself anyway when I wanted to spend 4 hours doing French and Italian verb drills. The public perception of autistics is so heavily based on the stereotype of men who love trains or science that many women miss out on diagnosis and are thought of as studious instead. In my binfire of a school, when teachers thought of problem kids, they thought of disruptive behaviour. There was no such thing as someone who studied too much, even if they did give themselves a nervous breakdown in the process. It's only now that increasing numbers of health professionals understand to look for intensity of interest rather than unusual interests when assessing girls. Unlike many OCD sufferers, I didn't think not carrying out rituals would lead to my family being hurt. And anyway, I hated my family. They were so noisy I had to calm myself down in the evenings by punching my bedroom wall repeatedly or spending hours in my rocking chair. At no point did anyone question this textbook behaviour as anything other than me being annoying. One day, I was doing my usual routine of spending lunch alone in the school library reading the DSM when I came across a thing called Asperger's. As I read the definition, I froze. It fit me perfectly. The following week with my psychiatrist, I brought up the possibility I was autistic. "You can't have it," he grinned, full of that jaunty, misplaced confidence so many medical professionals have. "You're making eye contact with me, aren't you? And you said you have a boyfriend, so no, you don't fit the criteria." I now know that the diagnostic criteria for autism was almost entirely based on Hans Asperger's research into autistic males. And funnily enough, none of them had boyfriends because they were 8-year-old boys in pre-war Vienna. I didn't fit the criteria because I was making eye contact, and anyway, I was a top student who'd just been accepted to Edinburgh University to study Arabic and Persian, so what exactly was the problem? At no point did anyone think to ask why I, with no prior interest in visiting or reading about the Middle East, had opted to study Arabic and Persian. No one thought it was weird when, after receiving my offer a year early, I self-transferred to a different school in 6th year to crash higher Spanish and advanced French for fun. If anyone had asked why I chose that degree subject, I'd have explained I'd simply run out of interest in languages to learn at school, so on my UCAS forums I'd applied to study Sanskrit, Arabic and Japanese. I didn't want to visit any of these places, I just wanted to see if I could learn all the new verb drills. In fact, if anyone had asked, I'd have confessed I didn't really want to travel at all and had been banned from family holidays for several years by this point as I ruined them. I now understand that an aversion to holidays is extremely common in autistic people. The disruption to routine, the unpredictable.